Alright, this is the first time I'm performing the drums for everybody. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. What the hell do you think you're doing with those drumsticks in the air, huh? And that cheap-ass Coca-Cola shirt. What are you waiting for, huh? Go play the drums for everybody. Play! Unless you're too scared. Oh yeah, just make them see how much of a fool you really are. Just play. Or unless you want to quit. Huh? You want to quit this band? Huh? Go play. Yeah. Come on. Alright, just leave.
Alright,
you know what?
quit.
I'm just sick of
I
this.
get it. You
Go.
proved your point.
Leave.
I'll just
Go
stick
leave.
to
Go cry to your
movies.
mommy. What is up, everybody? Random Man here. If I do sound weird at all when I'm talking in this video, it may be because I just got rubber bands on my braces, so blame these on my inability to talk at all throughout this video. But that's not why you clicked on this video. You are here to find out my thoughts on Whiplash, which stars Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons, and is directed by Damien Chazelle. Now the plot follows Andrew Naiman, played by Miles Teller, a promising young drummer who is enrolled at a top music conservatory where he dreams to be one of the greatest drummers ever. That is until he is taught under Terrence Fletcher, played by J.K. Simmons, a well-respected music instructor whose unorthodox methods of teaching may just push Andrew to the very limit of his extensive ability. Now I have finally seen this movie after it being released for over a month now in theaters, and I feel like I'm one of the last people to actually see this movie when it has come out, since there have been reviews for this film all over the place. But nevertheless, I have heard very good things about this movie for its two main leads and the concept alone. But is it worthy of all of that buzz, in my opinion? Let's run down the whole thing. Miles Teller is an actor who I've grown to respect over the number of years he has been acting in movies recently, as I think he gave a remarkable performance in The Spectacular Now with Shailene Woodley, and now in Whiplash, I think this is the best performance I have seen from him, period. His drive, or I should say his character's drive to be pushing himself to the very brim of success is not only an inspiring feat to accomplish, but a very daringly dangerous one itself, as all the drumming he does is just so viscerally and very intensely gratifying to see on screen that I think that this is going to be a role he's going to be remembered for quite a long time. Now we move on to J.K. Simmons, and whoa. I mean, whoa. Talk about a teacher that no one in their right mind should ever have to put up with. If you thought J.K. Simmons' performance as J. Jonah Jameson in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy was mildly intimidating, then you're going to look at this and see that he's just a Sesame Street character in disguise. His performance as Fletcher here is just so ferociously intimidating that I was scared. I was genuinely scared for not only Miles Teller's character, but for all the other students that he was teaching, as this is just such an effective performance once he is just up in everybody's face for them screwing up, or just him just being an angry person in general. Now, that's not to say that he is more docile or calm in some other moments, as he is just like, he may be a little bit more subtle in some scenes, but his ability to switch on a dime like that is just very cool to see on screen. The only other two characters that are of great note here are Paul Reiser as Andrew's dad and Melissa Benoist as Miles Teller's love interest, Nicole. I just think that Paul Reiser gives a very solid performance here, as for the amount of screen time he is given, yes, he's only in the movie briefly, if in and out in some cases, he just brings a lot of levity towards this movie, and there's one moment in particular that personally got me inside, where he is just watching a movie in a theater with Andrew, and that took me back to what I was doing for the past couple of years with my dad, as for this movie as well, I was watching it with him too. So it just added a little small moment that really left a lot with me inside. And also, Melissa Benoist also does a pretty good job here as well. Again, like Reiser's character, she's in and out of the movie as well as the love interest for Andrew, but I think that she is good and she has a nice screen presence whenever she's implemented into the movie. But for all of that, I just think the small cast here, especially with the two leads of Teller and Simmons, are definitely worthy for awards nominations and just make this movie go around, and it's just one aspect that does so. Now, there is so much more to talk about this movie that I don't know if this review can even do it justice. The way this movie is shot is just so rapid fire in nature that it really kept the movie going at a very brisk pace at about an hour and 45 minutes. And frankly, I didn't care if this movie was that long or that short. And just how every sequence is shot, from the drumming and just how people are talking to one another, just makes this movie very interesting to watch in and of itself. There are a lot of scenes here that just stand out in my mind as very effective as well. Man, I'm using that word a lot in this review. But yes, this movie is very effective. Miles Teller did the majority of his drumming here, and just the imagery of him drumming as hard as he could for J.K. Simmons' character is just so grueling to watch. I mean, the images of just tears going down his face, the sweat coming off of his hair and skin, and just blood. Oh man, the amount of blood in this movie coming off of his hands whenever he's drumming just makes it so intense. And just very much so in the right way. A movie that just gets to you, even though you don't want to see what happens next in one aspect, towards Teller in wanting to become the greatest drummer ever in his mind. And it just makes this such an effective watch. See, I just used that word again. I'm liking that word today. But this movie at its core is about music. Jazz music in particular, as I'll say this right now, before I even saw this movie or even listened to the excellent soundtrack before shooting this review, jazz music wasn't really my forte. Now, yes, I am usually into all types of music as long as it's interesting, same with movies. That wasn't the first genre of music that I am grasping towards whenever I want to listen to something. But the way Whiplash turns jazz onto its head and makes it such an attractive form of music to get into is a feat to behold once you do watch this movie. And there's one scene in particular where it is mentioned how jazz is a dying form of music, and there isn't the same amount of passion and soul that is put into it as it was when it was first introduced in the past. And once again, just seeing how that is put onto itself when jazz is such a big part of this movie makes it very interesting to watch, and I think that I'm going to listen to some more jazz. I virtually do not have any problems with this movie. There are some, but I think that they're minor nitpicks once you read between the lines of this film. The love interest subplot is there, and I think it's not that big of a role of a movie, even though I think it's supposed to be, but it does have purpose once you do watch it and how complex of a character Andrew really is whenever he is into his drumming. Also, there's this one scene in particular, which I will not give away, that seems a little too far-fetched for my regard in how determined Andrew is to really be a great musician. But those two aspects of the movie are just off aside to how masterful this movie is in the regard of filmmaking, as I think that this is one of those ideal perfect movies, as I don't think there is itself a perfect movie out there, but there are ideal perfect movies. But what ultimately won me over in the end for Whiplash being an ideal masterpiece once again is the last 10 minutes of this movie. Now, I think by far that this movie has the best ending to any flick I have seen all year. Just how the scene is played out, from how it is shot, how it is written, how it is acted, how the music is interplayed with everything, makes it such a gratifying feat to see in the end that I think it's going to stay with a lot of people once the movie does come to a close. My final thoughts on this movie are that for the type of film that Whiplash is, it is the very definition of what it means to be a modern musical cinematic experience. Everything that just comes together makes this movie so entertaining to watch. The acting, the music, the writing, the cinematography, and the editing, just how fast-paced this movie is and how slow it can take in certain areas, makes this one of my very favorite movies of 2014. To think that this is only Damien Chazelle's second directorial effort, it is just a true achievement to behold once it is going to be upheld on a higher pedestal once award season does come into full play later on this year and early next year. I cannot recommend this movie more highly enough. My final verdict for Whiplash is 5 out of 5 stars. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of Whiplash, subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.